Our final presenter is Jennie Sharp with the Wolf Welcome Committee, talking about coexisting with wolves in Central Oregon.
Wow, so cool that this is finally happening. Thanks for being here, everybody. We are in my backyard because I just live down the way near the school in Camp Sherman, and I've been watching a ground squirrel or gopher or something up here in the front, so making a little hole. So we're in a wild place. We're also sharing it. And so I love coming last in this trio of presentations because we talked, Story talked about how to coexist when you see a wolf in the wild, and then we heard about all these big general ideas from Michelle, and I'm going to bring it to our local place right here and give you some information about what's going on here in Central Oregon. So I am part of a newish little group called the Wolf Welcome Committee. Susan Prince and I met and realized we both love wolves, and we were walking on the Metolius one day and we just continued to talk about wolves, and we realized, what if we did something more than just talk about it here on the river? I have a family, I have a few jobs, I do a lot of things. I'm not an expert in wolves, but I am here. I live here. I'm a person, and I like to do things, and I like to learn about things, and I like to organize people. And and I like educating. I'm an educator. That's my job. And same with Susan. She's also an educator. So our mission is we started with envisioning a time when wolves will be recovered in Central Oregon. And our goal as a group is to create a climate of peaceful coexistence where wolves are welcomed by their human neighbors. And we have a group of about over 100 members, and we're gaining more and more today. So thank you, all of you who've signed our email list. And we started off just wanting to educate people about wolves. The wolves that have been mentioned as living right here weren't here when Susan and I took that walk. Or at least they weren't officially recognized by ODF&W at that point. And we just thought, gosh, this is such an amazing place. It seems really healthy. Humans tend to really care about the environment here, and how cool will it be when the wolves get here? Let's tell people about how they're coming, because they're gonna come here because it's so awesome. And we had this great presentation by Amaroq this morning, kind of sharing the history of wolves in Oregon. So I'm not going to talk in too much of detail, but as we were learning about wolves and reading the annual wolf reports, we saw these trends like we heard about from Amaroq, and the trends were that wolf packs are increasing in Oregon in certain places, including a lot of opportunity for them to increase in Western Oregon, where we're central, but on the west side of that management zone line. So in 2014, we had our first pack on the west side, the Rogue pack, and then a few years later, the Indigo pack, and then a little bit around that time, it looks like my timeline's a little bit messed up there. We had the White River Pack established south of Mount Hood, and then that was about the time that we started hearing about wolves passing through Central Oregon, sightings about wolves coming through, and I heard about it from my neighbors. I've seen a wolf. You like wolves? Oh yeah, and you just start to hear about things happening. And, all of a sudden, a couple years ago, we opened the annual wolf report, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Susan, called her right away. They're here. They're really here. 2021, the Metolius area of known wolf activity was established. And in the same year, another area of known wolf activity was established near the Summer Lake area, Gerhardt Mountain. That area has now officially been recognized as a pack. So just to remind you about the difference between an area of known wolf activity and in a pack is that a pack is a group of 4 wolves that travel together over the winter. And an area of known wolf activity is probably less wolves that are, and our wolves here in the Metolius, there's only 2 that have been officially documented. So last year, very exciting that another pack has established, AKWA established near La Pine. It's called the Upper Deschutes group of wolves. And then we also, in the same year, last year, have a new group of wolves pretty close to here on the Warm Springs Reservation. So just our neighbors to the north. And so it's kind of cool to see our hypothesis about wolves coming here actually coming true. So let's look at what those look like on the map. So you saw this map this morning, but I just want to show you again so that you can see, we're that Metolius hatched pack there, and you can see the Warm Springs pack just north, and just south of us, the Upper Deschutes, Indigo, Gearhart, Rogue packs, all kind of in the central band of the Cascades. And just to reiterate what Amarik told us this morning, these wolves are protected still by the Endangered Species Act. So this is a close-up view of the maps that ODF&W provides of the 3 packs that are closest to us right here. So you can see white patches. You can see those are private land. You can see green patches on this map. Those are public lands. You see red lines. Those are major highways. The dark blue line on the top left corner is the Warm Springs boundary. So that kind of just gives you a bit of a view of like what it looks like here. And those circles are about 9-mile radius circles. And I'll tell you a little bit more about why that's important in just a minute. So these are the conditions that wolves are finding here in Central Oregon. We've got these statistics, the 20% and 80%, that's just for Deschutes County. So we have a lot of public land. 80% of the county, Deschutes County, is public land. And I do want to shout out, we are in Jefferson County right here. A lot of people don't remember we're in Jefferson County, but we're way out here in Jefferson County. We aren't in Deschutes County. So, but we do have a lot of public land around us right here as well. So we've got rural, suburban, and urban development. There's tons of different kinds of fences that animals are encountering. We've got commercial ranches, hobby ranches, people with pets, destination resorts, golf courses, a lot of tourist activity, some industrial uses, and we do have major highways. Traffic on these highways is increasing. Same with our recreation, it's increasing. In Deschutes County, in Central Oregon, I counted up the actual wilderness area designated. It's about 500,000 acres. And just to give you a sense of what that is, Deschutes County as a whole is about 1.6 million acres. So we have a lot of designated wilderness. We have a huge amount of outdoor recreation, which we as the Wolf Welcome Committee do encourage because humans are part of this environment and we need to feel connected to it. We need to be connected to it. And we'll talk a little bit more about how we can be responsible recreating in this amazing place that we share. So we also have timber harvest, we have wildfires, we have prescribed burns, other commercial uses of our forests, and there is one livestock allotment in the Deschutes National Forest. So these are kind of the conditions that wolves will find that are more human created. And then, of course, they need to eat. So what's going on with their prey? So their primary prey is elk. It's about 60% of their diet. The elk populations locally are healthy, they're stable, and possibly increasing. I was actually just riding my bike the other day just on the Lake Creek Trail here and came upon a beautiful group of elk. So they're really here. They're right in our backyard. Mule deer are their secondary prey, and they also eat other small mammals. The unfortunate thing is that the mule deer populations here in Central Oregon are decreasing, and they're about 50% of what ODF&W defines as sustainable. So we need to understand that that's what the wolves are coming into here in Central Oregon. So what is their projected wolf behavior? So based on science, we know that between about February and June, wolves are getting ready to den. Or they're denning. And during that time, they're staying within that 9-mile radius. And I'll show that map in a second again so that you can see where that is locally. Then in the other seasons, they may travel outside of their den between 20 and 30 miles to search for prey if they're not finding it closer into their main territory. They hunt or elk primarily, mule deer opportunistically, and then if their pack is healthy enough, they will have dispersers, young wolves, leave the pack looking for new territories. So back to that map that I showed, we've overlaid some lines to show you the yellow lines are that 20 to 30 mile radius that they could travel during July, January months. And so locally, recently, there were some reports about lots of wolves being seen in near Sisters. And there was a photograph of 2 wolves that was shared in some of those communications. And we believe that those wolves were the Metolius wolves because they are in that 20-mile radius from where ODF&W has identified as their main territory area here near Green Ridge and on Green Ridge. And actually that 9-mile radius includes where we are right now. So we are in their zone. So very cool this morning, just met Aaron Bott in person. He's the new ODF&W wolf biologist working out of Prineville. And he gave me a little bit more insight that he said I could share with you about the local wolves here. So he was telling us that it's actually been kind of hard to track the Metolius wolves. They don't have a collar on them yet, so we're not seeing the radio transmitted pings. They think that they do have cameras on the public land, but you can see in the circle that about 70% of the circle is on private land. So they're not able to easily monitor these wolves on the private land. And most likely the wolves are spending more time in the private land than in the public land. So we just don't really know too much about them other than that last season, the 2021 season, they did not have a successful litter of pups. So down to the Upper Deschutes pack, a little bit more is known about them. Aaron found their den recently and found that they have 3 pups at least currently in their den. The other exciting thing that he told us was that they are working currently this week probably to collar one of the wolves in the Warm Springs pack. He did say that pack and the White Springs pack are doing really well. And so we might have more information about those packs once that collar is there. So we affect each other. And I don't need to talk too much about this because we heard a lot about this from our other presenters. But wolves keep their distance from humans. Humans kill wolves. We kill them intentionally, and we kill them unintentionally with our cars. Here's some stats, which you've already heard today about how many wolves we're killing. I did a little bit of math, and in 2022, humans killed about 9% of the wolf population. So that's a lot of wolves that we're killing, either unintentionally or intentionally. And then we're also affecting them by taking up their space and using their territory. So wolf effects on humans, like we said, it's really unlikely that they are going to attack us, like stories showed us. And also, wolves do kill our animals that we domesticate and husband. So we do know that's true. In 2022, there were 76 confirmed depredations. And I also did a little bit of math. That's in all of Oregon. I did a little bit of math. That's 0.003% of all of the livestock in Oregon. So we're killing about 9 to 10% of the wolf population, and the wolves are killing a very, very tiny fraction of our livestock and none of us. Okay, so wolves are going to, now that they're here, they're going to have a positive effect on our ecosystem. They will be killing prey to eat, and they will be targeting the sick and the young. Wolves killing sick animals actually increases the health of the population in general. And if chronic wasting disease ever gets here to Oregon, they could be a really important piece to controlling that disease by eating any dead carcasses, because they do eat carrion, and also eating sick animals that are affected with the disease. And Michelle mentioned the trophic cascades, that amazing effect that wolves have down on all of the different organisms in our ecosystem, plants and other animals. So really quickly, I'm running out of time, but so I'm not going to read all of this, but we can coexist with wolves in Central Oregon. We really can, and I hope that we do. We've got to be responsible with our recreation, with how we live on our own properties, and how we drive. These are the main ways that we can really be safe with wolves here. Keeping our dogs on a leash, staying on a trail, using wildlife-friendly fencing, using non-lethal deterrents. Here locally, we have a new zoning proposition in Deschutes County to protect mule deer winter range. And our group really supports those zoning regulations, even though it's just one piece to the puzzle of helping those mule deer. It is a piece to the puzzle to help them, and I think we as humans have a moral obligation to help all of the animals here that we live with. So I'm going to leave you just with this map. This is a map that ODF&W has put out. It's called Conservation Opportunity Areas, and these are areas that they've designated as like great places to do conservation. And if we zoom in to where we are, there's a lot of these red hatched areas. So we have a huge opportunity here locally to do this, and we really are doing this. This is a list of a fraction of the many projects that are happening here regionally. And I just applaud anybody who is working on rewilding here locally, because we are your supporters, and whatever you're doing is going to help wolves too. So thank you so much. I will welcome everybody for questions.